it sucks because most actors are leaving so much opportunity on the table, not realizing how the entire casting process actually works. Most of the time, wanting to show a casting director that you're perfect for the role is ironically the very thing that makes you terrible for the role. I'm Tristan Spohn, a professional actor and acting coach that you could recognize the names of some shows I've been in: Stranger Things, FBI, Law & Order SVU, and I booked all 3 of those projects exclusively off my first audition tape. I've also coached hundreds of actors in how they can do the same, including one student that actually booked a series regular role. This is how I would say I know a thing or two about audition tapes. So today, we're going to be looking at the 3 highest leverage things you can start doing today to improve your audition tapes and finally start giving yourself a worthy shot of booking these projects and making money as an actor. Thing number 1, stop turning performance mode on and just experience the scene. We were very lucky in our group, the Acting Lab, to have a special guest, Alan Scott Neal, who is a New York casting director. And something that he said that really changed my perspective of the entire audition process is that he considers himself a professional bullshit meter. He feels like it is his job to be able to, within the first couple of seconds, identify, are you lying or not? And the truth is, if I look at every single audition I've ever progressed in, I'm not doing anything except connecting with the person across from me. And it seems so simple, but there are all of these mental roadblocks that you find yourself in because you're trying so hard to focus on what you can do as the actor instead of how you can serve the person across from you. So how can you start prepping for your auditions to actually prevent yourself from turning performance mode on? You need to be so memorized with your script that it's like muscle memory. If I was doing a script right now, I should be able to recite it exactly like how I'm doing it right now with as quick of a pace as I'm saying right now without a second thought. Otherwise, it's not actually memorized. If I'm not able to recite my script front and back without even thinking about it, without a second guess, I'm gonna be too worried, too wrapped up in what is my next line going to be. And this might sound like I'm coming at screenwriters, but I'm not. The words don't matter. The words are meaningless without intent. And your intent exclusively comes from the relationship that you have to both yourself and the person across from you. Let's just take something as simple as, I am always here for you. If you're the love of my life, if I would do anything in the world to make sure that you are safe, I'm gonna tell you, hey, I will always be there for you. If I am kind of detached from the relationship, I know you want to hear that I'm there for you. I don't feel like I want to go through the effort of finding someone new. Then maybe I would say, hey, I'm always there for you, right? Not even making eye contact, probably looking down. Very clear that I don't mean it. And let's say another situation, maybe I feel like my loyalty is being questioned. You actually have the audacity to call me out? Well, I have always been there for you. I will always be there for you. All 3 of those different deliveries exclusively come from what the person across from me is doing. So all that to say, if your script is not memorized front to back to front to back, you're not ready to even try a take yet. You're focused on the wrong things. I don't typically like to memorize my scene partner's lines simply because I want to be able to actively listen. A lot of times when you memorize your scene partner's lines, you end up memorizing your reactions to your scene partner's line, which ultimately leads to your scene falling the exact same, regardless of how your scene partner actually delivers their line.
You already know, don't you?
A little bit.
You might be thinking to yourself, that's really dumb of you to say don't memorize your scene partner's lines. How are you supposed to know when it's your turn to speak? How do you ever know when to talk in a conversation? You know when to speak based off of actively listening to that person. So trust that will be obvious if you're actively listening. If it is not obvious, you are not actively listening. And even if it leads to there being these crunchy, weird, overlapping moments, guess what? That makes the scene feel more real. Too many actors have such polished, perfect versions of the scenes that make it feel rehearsed. So lean into the awkwardness, lean into the crunchiness. If there's an overlap that adds to how organic the scene feels, lean into that. Step 2 is getting crystal clear on your character's internal journey. There's no way better than journaling from the perspective of that character. If you don't know what to journal about, I like to start as if it is the night before each scene. I create different journal entries for different days, and I just reflect on 3 things. What did I accomplish today? What went wrong today? What do I hope will happen tomorrow? Did I get closer or further from what I wanted? A lot of times those are really good starting points, and the rest of the entry will unfold in front of you. And the really cool thing is you're going to find a healthy blend of both you and the character in your journal entries. And that will be a ritual that you can use before every scene. Here's my big prep book. Before I go into every single scene, to make sure I'm fully connected with this character's internal world, to make sure I'm having that healthy balance of, yes, my perspective with this character's perspective, I read out loud the journal entry that I wrote from the day before. And specifically read it out loud because it lands different when you can feel it in your vocal cords than when you just say it internally in your head. I can't help but feel both incredibly lucky and cursed at the exact same time. I come out of brutal misfortune through incredible odds, yet also attract lethal consequences to those who seek to aid me. That's an example of a first line from a journal entry that I wrote for my newest audition. You never should be playing and looking off a blank wall. You always want some type of photo that you can play off of. I have a ton of different micro lessons that I put in our acting lab community pretty frequently. I'll sometimes post my own auditions so you can see how I practice what I preach, but you can also see how I do cold reads. I don't just look into blank spots at the wall. I actually have photos that I will put up that remind me of the characters that I'm talking to. And the benefit of doing this, even if you have an in-person scene partner, but that same person is doing multiple characters, you'll have a distinct relationship with each of them. And if you watch how my audition comes out, there we go. Can never find anything. Whatever. You see a very distinct relationship between how I look at my mom versus my dad, which of course I always play characters with daddy issues. So you'll notice I put up a picture of 2 because that was the only photo I had of someone that I felt some type of aggression towards. The overall theme is use all of these tools so you can stop giving a shit about what you're about to do. Stop caring about your script analysis. Most of y'all, the script analysis is actually sabotaging you instead of adding to your work because it is forcing you to be iron attached to your original idea of what the scene was supposed to be. The more you take all of your focus off of yourself and apply it exclusively into the specific action in front of you or the relationship across from you, the more organic your responses in your scenes are going to feel naturally. Let's see how this translated to a recent little lesson that I had in the acting lab with my student Isa, who specifically is one of those actors that is right on the cusp of booking major projects, but hasn't yet learned how to fully trust that she herself is interesting enough. And so she, as a naturally engaging actress and a naturally engaging speaker, will sometimes overcompensate because she doesn't think that it's enough for her to do nothing and lead to performances that are strong but just overacted. So this is that clip from the class. What is something that you crave from life? What do you want more than anything? And I mean you, Isa.
I keep going back to the involvement of with like other people, like being, that's why I love storytelling, that's why I love acting, because you could create something different than a real world and just roll with it, play with it, and people aren't afraid to improvise, to be creative about it. So yeah, it aligns with my values, I would say.
Yeah. Do you think the acting lab can help you with that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Why?
Because there's many innovative people and I like the teachers that I'm working with. It's helping me break through and connect into places that I haven't been able before.
Ah, gotcha. You think we're gonna connect you?
I'm not implying I could earn it that way.
Could you? In what
Yeah,
way?
I can. I've done it before. That's all I'm gonna say.
See, you noticed what I was doing, and then you turned your camera on to start recording, and now you're turning Issa performer mode on. I caught you.
You did catch me.
Genuinely answer this. We're not gonna do the scene. Just what do you want in a more specific way? Like if you had to say, this is me, this is what I want more than anything, beyond just collaborating, what is maybe a specific character, a specific project you want to be on?
I did want to get into the Hunger Games, and I'm very familiar with their producers and everything. I didn't get an audition for this one, unfortunately, but I want to get into those worlds, be a prominent character.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably never gonna happen. Like, it's so dependent on a specific type of franchise you have no control over, right?
I have people who can connect me, and it's just about kind of being in the right place, right time. That's what I always saw.
You think people will connect you, but again, that's out of your control. So what are you going to do that's in your control?
I can connect with them. I could do good work, and I could prove many different things.
Prove?
Just by that.
What do you have to prove?
Well, nothing prove. Just prove that my craft is good enough, that I have a clear idea of who I want to be, the kind of characters I want to play.
I don't think you have the ability to get there from everything I've seen. I just don't know if you can really pass that point. You know what I mean?
I have faith that I could prove it.
Convince me.
Really.
Why do you think that? Convince me.
I put a lot of work into it. I mean, I would say, I don't want to flaunt arrogantly. I would say I do have good reps. I do have good footage. I do have good materials. It's all about being in the right place, right time. And based on the people around me, I hear that I can get there.
I don't actually think anything I just said. What you just did, Issa, the conversation me and you just had, that is the scene. That's all the scene is. That's all the scene is. Is I don't believe you're capable of something that you have dreamed of your whole life that you know you're capable of. You did the very human thing of resisting that because you have tough skin and you're used to not letting things affect you, as every actor has to get used to, right? That was human. That was way better than if you were like, oh, I'm gonna let Tristan make me emotional. Your character doesn't want to show that side to them. They don't want Lee to think that they're this weak kid. They want Lee to respect them and to see, I'm strong enough to take what you're putting at me, which is why you should come on board with me. Mm-hmm. This is the power of personalizing the character to you. Because we were able to personalize this scene with obviously how much you want to achieve your dreams as an actress. Mm-hmm. That's your anchor point that you can attach to Lyra, but you have to know what will trigger you in the way that the scene requires, right? So we would know going forward what would trigger you in a character who is trying to convince somebody to believe in them is your acting career. And there will be other scenes that have differences, right? It's not always going to be your acting career. There'll be many different trigger points that you'll have. But as you start to build out your toolkit of trigger points, it'll be so much easier for you to just go on the ride of the scene. We're in really good territory. I can't, we are so close, Issa. We're like so close. We're able to get it so many times that you're like 2 breakthroughs away from having a complete career breakthrough. I really truly believe that.
I'm crossing my fingers. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm happy you have faith in me.
And by the way, we have these types of breakthroughs in the community all the time, whether it's people posting their auditions and I record video feedback for them, or it's in one of our many live classes. If any of this sounds interesting to you, you can join the acting lab, links in the description, or QR code. Phase 2, stop trying to book every role, because you are constantly watering yourself down trying to fit in boxes that the production team didn't even actually give you. What if I told you the majority of Actors Access breakdowns are created by interns or AI, not actual casting directors or producers? And yet, a lot of y'all will water down your initial instincts if they don't fit into the arbitrary box that you have been given in the description. Obviously, you don't want to neglect the character description completely, but never treat it as what the character is supposed to be. Treat it as added context that you could use as you continue to build out your unique perspective of this script. But here's the thing, you need to start treating your auditions like 4D chess, where you are willing to sacrifice a role that's just not meant for you in a way that will lay the foundations for a role better suited for you later down the line. Always lean into your unique strengths, regardless of if it fits this specific character or not, because no matter what, the actor whose strength is the character is going to book it over a watered down version of the character that you would bring if it doesn't suit your strengths. So you're better off being completely wrong for the role, but having a unique interpretation different from everybody else than doing what all of the other 99% of actors trying to honor the character description are going to do. And here's the trippy part. Most of the time, the way that you book a role that's completely out of your comfort zone, that isn't necessarily aligned with your acting strengths, is by not falling into that trap. Most of the time, you book a role that's outside your strengths because they decide your version of the character is actually more interesting than their original idea of the character. My favorite story to show this is Sean Marquette. He is a wonderful actor that I knew from 13 Going on 30 as young Mark Ruffalo, but you might know him as Johnny Atkins from The Goldbergs. And what if I told you the original description of Johnny Atkins was this 6'3", 6'4", golden-haired Adonis that was sculpted from the Greek gods. And then Sean Marquette comes in there, brunette, averaged height, usually plays nerdier types of characters, and as he goes into the audition room, feels like he sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Literally, I'm surrounded by all of these actors that do fit the description of 6'4" gold Greek Adonis god type of physiques, right? But Sean didn't let that discourage him from going into his strengths. He kind of realized, all right, I'm probably not gonna get this, so I'm just gonna do my interpretation. It'll be completely wrong, but hey, it is what it is. At least I got in front of the decision makers, right? Not only did he book the role of Johnny Atkins because they thought the dorkier version of him was actually a lot funnier than their original version of him, he went on to star in 65 episodes of The Goldbergs, when originally Johnny Atkins was only supposed to be in one episode. And this had something similar, but in a different coin happen with me with number 2, where I auditioned for Carmen Cuba 5 times before eventually she specifically requested me for the role of number 2. So I did 5 terrible auditions for characters that weren't suited for me in ways that were able to suggest a character I was suited for, which was number 2. So leaning into your strengths allows casting directors, even if they don't choose you for this role, to identify roles you could be suited for later down the line. So to recap, this current audition has nothing to do with booking the project and everything to do with showcasing your unique strengths so that you can make the best first impression possible and either bring something so different they didn't expect that they end up loving more than their original interpretation of the character, or on the flip side, you don't get it because it's a little bit too kooky, a little bit too out of the realm of what they wanted, but you get a role better suited for your strengths later down the line in a way that allows you to stand out instead of blending in with the 99% of other actors that are so tied to this specific role, having this be their breakout project, that they play it safe because they're too afraid to make the wrong choice and lose out. The very fact of you not being afraid to lose this role is the thing that will make you feel confident enough to take the risks that are required to book the role. You might be thinking thinking to yourself, all of that sounds great. How the hell do I know what my acting strengths are? Well, your acting strengths are simply a combination of your first impression and your acting instincts. Now, in the acting lab, we do this fun exercise called the essence exercise, where you just sit in front of the camera for 30 seconds in complete silence, and then everybody puts in the comments, based off of just watching you do nothing for 20 to 30 seconds, the types of characters that they could see you playing. And this accomplishes two things, by the way. It shows you just how much can be communicated through doing nothing. Synchronization between, how you visually look to what you submit yourself to, because it does play a part. Your looks do matter. I have a whole video about that. But as a whole, I could be the best actor in the world. I'm not getting cast as a cowboy, at least for another 5-10 years, right? No matter how hard I try, it's just not gonna make sense. It's not gonna happen because I just visually do not fit that. And then from there, you take all of the responses that you get from your essence exercise and you find scenes that match each of those responses. Perform cold reads of them, which are just basically you are just reading the script for the first time and seeing how easy it is for you to relate and connect to that character. And then the characters that come the easiest to you are the characters that you can connect with the least amount of effort, which are a sign that they're aligned with your natural instincts. And your perfect strength is that perfect overlap of how you visually look and the characters that come the easiest to you with the least amount of preparation. Because here's the reality. A lot of times you only have 2 days to do an audition. If you have a job, which all of you that are just starting out will have a job, it's not like you have 2 days to fully devote to an audition. So you have to be able to market yourself in a way that will allow you to, with just 2 days, still deliver phenomenal work to casting directors whose first impression of you can make or break whether they ever call you in for another role again. There are casting directors I completely bombed auditions with at the start of my career that still have never called me in for another audition. And I track them. I track all casting directors I audition with. It's not like they don't have any projects that I would be suited for. They just don't call me in. And ideally, you want to make sure there is some contrast in your marketing, because as a whole, that will be something that lays the foundation for you to eventually break out of whatever typecast you get stuck in the beginning of your career. I'm currently in that creepy, dark, vulnerable antagonist era of my career. However, I can tell you that I've gotten really close to characters very different from that because I have headshots and a couple of clips from past work that I've actually made myself that show my sweeter, more innocent boy next door personality. So I'm able to market myself in dual ways. And lastly, number 3, try to make your auditions feel as ripped out of a movie as possible. The setup I'm in right now is actually a setup I used for a recent audition, minus the Chucky costume, of course. You can see I went all out with these gashes on my cheek because I had just been mauled by a werewolf in the scene before this. And if you watch this, you would have no bearing that it was for an audition tape. And that's the intentional goal that I have. As an actor, your entire mission is to be so grounded, so authentic that it doesn't even feel like an audition tape. You want to make the casting director feel so immersed in your audition that they forget it's an audition. You don't have to do it with the whole setup that I have. The setup I have is overkill, and it is important to say, a lot of y'all might look at my setup and think to yourself, what lighting do you do? What camera do you have? What background are you using? What are your microphones? You don't need all of this to make it feel like it's ripped out of a movie. David Corenswet's audition is a perfect example of this, where he has just a plain blue blank wall, but if you were to look at it, it would not have any feeling like an audition. It actually feels like a true interview setup the way that he did it, and is so immersive that it feels like what you would get in a final product. So don't be afraid to use props. Don't be afraid to get creative. Now, it's important to say, don't break rules just for the sake of breaking rules, but don't be afraid to if you have a creative idea. Because at the end of the day, you gotta send these and forget they ever existed. There is so much rejection in this industry. there's so much no, there are so many crickets that you hear that at the end of the day, if you're not having fun, you're not gonna survive. If I were to leave you with anything, stop putting pressure on yourself. You don't need your auditions to be perfect. You just need to connect, and you need to trust the thought. You need to trust that you yourself are interesting without having to make yourself interesting. Ultimately, you are the one that will make this character land differently than any other actor. That is the power that you have, as long as you harness that power without fear of it not being enough. Take this as a friendly reminder that watching these videos is not enough if you do not go out and practice it. Take a recent audition tape that you did and do everything I mentioned in the first step and see how it impacts the final performance. Compare and contrast them. And if you end up joining the acting lab, I would love for you to make a whole post about the before and after and what you learned by trying this new method out in your auditions. So remember, you can join the acting lab by either clicking the links in the description or scanning that QR code right up there. Inside, you get regular feedback from me, can attend my many weekly classes, get to take part in special casting competitions that simulate the real world audition process, going up against other talented actors, but actually seeing why certain choices are made, along with special guests and courses and many, many more. There honestly is so much stuff you can get value from in the group. And if you happen to join, I look forward to meeting you and helping you continue this path on your journey. But if not, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that these free videos can at least give some value to you as you go after this very hard but fulfilling career. So if you sign up, I look forward to meeting you on the inside. But if you want to keep this learn and train going and see me break down some of my own students' audition tapes along with my own Law and Order audition tape, check out this video right there.